All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So today we're going to be talking about market economy and what exactly that is. Okay, so remember we've talked about in the last lesson traditional economy, command economy, and now we got the market economy. Okay, and then we're going to be talking about things like waste, resources and things like that. Okay, so let's get into the objectives. uh, Analyze the pros and cons of a market economy. Okay, we're going to examine the importance of economic efficiency, and then we're going to create an argument on whether some people's freedom to spend money should be revoked. Okay, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. Okay, so here is your warm up picture. Okay, so the first one asks you basically analyze the picture. What is this artist trying to say? What's going on here? Now, the thing is, you may not know this, but that mirror right there, that's called the skinny mirror. Okay. And yes, both of these characters are supposed to represent a country. Okay. So that should help you out with the first question. The second question asks you to basically predict what do you think those apples represent in the market economy? Okay, so think about what economy means and think of what's a tree's or an apple's relation to a tree. You know, does it just magically appear, or how does the apple come from a tree? So that should maybe kind of help you out um, to kind of think of something. Okay, what those apples can represent. Now, I've already seen some students turn in some stuff and they put like, I don't know. Again, if that's your answer, that's not a good answer. You're not going to get credit for that response. Okay, because I'm asking you to make a prediction just to give an educated guess. And simply putting, I don't know, that's basically saying, that I'm not even going to try to think. So you're not going to get credit for it. Okay, so don't do the mistake that other students have already done. Okay, think, put some effort into it. Okay, so pause the video if you're still writing, but we're moving on to the notes in 3, 2, 1. All right, so when it comes to a market economy, basically the easiest way to understand it is like this. Every time you go out to buy something, that's basically like a vote. Okay, the more vote an item gets, the more it's going to be produced. So a lot of you guys know I love my little bobblehead, little Funko things. Um, so the more I buy them, the more the company's like, people are buying this stuff, so they like it, so we're gonna make more. Okay. So you, the consumer, play a huge role on what's being made. Okay. Now, we're gonna look at the good things about a market economy. First thing is you can adjust to change. So let's say they make a bunch of these little Darth Vader, bobblehead things like that, right? If they make too much and people are like, oh, yeah, I already have enough of those. I don't want them anymore. I want Yoda. This company would notice that, hey, no, the Vaders aren't selling anymore. People are saying they want Yoda, so let's make a bunch of Yodas. They can change because that's what people want. They go with where the money flows. And if the people want more of this, the company will turn their focus towards that. There's a high degree of individual freedom. Okay, you can pick and buy whatever you want, basically. You can spend your money wherever you want. Now, when it comes to the people making the things, they can make whatever they want. Nobody is telling them you have to make this, you have to make that. A command economy, remember that's what the government controls. The government tells the companies what to make. Here, if a company wants to make, I don't know, rat meat burritos. They can make it. Now, are people going to buy it? Probably not. But they can make it if they want. Doesn't necessarily mean people are going to buy it. So the people who make things, they can make whatever they want. It's just if it doesn't sell, that's on you. Okay. The government usually doesn't interfere with this type of economy. They kind of step back and hey, if this company starts up, they hire people, the people get jobs, they pay their taxes, they buy things, other country buys the stuff. That's just more money for the country. So they tend to kind of back off a little bit. Not completely, but a lot of times. Um, there's a large amount of goods and services available. So in class, usually I start off by telling the whole class, um, name me different fast food places. And usually I'll get in 10 seconds, I'll probably get like, easy 7 fast food places easily. Um, because the thing is, you guys know what different fast food places are because there's an abundance, there's a whole bunch of it, and they're all around, you know. And the last thing is there's a high degree of satisfaction because again, um, I want this buying these little things make me happy, and the price to me is okay, to spend for this little thing. Now, if the price was too high, more likely I wouldn't want it. Or if this is not the figure I wanted, I wouldn't buy it. Okay, so usually the when people buy something, it's because they want it, you know, and if they want it, they're going to be happy. And of course, the people selling it, they're going to be happy because they're getting money. Okay. Now, with every good, there's a bad. Okay, and the thing is, you'll hear some people, especially on social media, they'll be talking saying, "Oh, the market economy is perfect." It's not perfect. There's Nothing's perfect. There are some things that are wrong with it, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. First off, it doesn't serve the basic needs for everyone. Okay, not everyone has food to eat every day. Fresh water, some of that, a place to stay. Uh, yeah, those are the basic needs of people. You do need money to get food, to pay for rent and things like that. You know, the other thing is again, it doesn't provide enough service for everyone. You know, not just um, like healthcare and stuff like that, but we're also talking like the, like I said, the needs and even the wants. You know, a lot of people want the new gaming system. PS5, the Xbox or whatever. There's not enough. Okay. Another thing is there's a high degree of uncertainty for workers and businesses when change happens. So right now, what's going on in the world, which is the COVID, this is a great example of uncertainty. At the very beginning, back in March, some places thought, oh, we're going to close down for like a month or two, and then we'll be back. Oh, they hear things like this COVID's going to burn off in the summer because it's so hot. No, and that's the thing that they weren't. A lot of them places weren't prepared to be shut down for so long. So a lot of businesses went under. Same thing goes for people. They didn't save enough money. You know, and they may have saved a couple $100, maybe like $1,000. That's not gonna last you. Especially with rent and food, mortgage, things like that. You know, so that's the thing. You have to be prepared for things you don't think are going to happen, but they might, just like global pandemic. Okay. And the last one, it basically breaks down to three things. It says that it can fail if these three conditions aren't met. So one is reasonable competition. Okay. So just like I was saying about the fast food places, there has to be other places that sell the same thing, hamburgers or, making hats, shoes, things like that. There has to be competition because if one place, let's say one place that makes hats, if there's only one place that makes and sells hats, they can raise the price as high as they want because nobody else is making the stuff. No one else is selling it, so they can raise the prices as high as they want. Resources must be reasonably free to move from one activity to another. So just because, hey, we're making this and it's not working doesn't mean you have to devote the rest of the resources to that. You can move it. You can use it for something else. Okay, just because you got it for this one thing doesn't mean you have to stick to it if it's not working. And the last one is consumers have access to adequate information. So a great example is what was happening around this time right now. Um, the Black Friday information, the Cyber Monday, and you see these ads everywhere on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, the internet, newspapers, things like that. Uh, and they're telling you, look at the TV at Walmart, Target, Best Buy, things like that, and they're telling you the prices, because they want you to know how much they're selling it for. And then there is where you can compare and contrast, saying, you know what, yeah, it's $10 cheaper across town, but am I going to really drive across town and wait there and things like that and waste that gas? Or can I go to this store over here, which is going to be $10 more, but it's closer? I can get it, get in and out, you know. So you have the information to judge and decide for yourself what you want to do. You need that information. All right, so this question's barely straight, very simple. I want you to think of a specific item, whether it's clothing, whether it's something you eat, things like that. So something specific, you know, if you can get specific, like a brand name of like milk or something you eat or something you wear, something specific, put that name down. Okay. Then I want you to name 3 stores, whether physical stores or online, of where you can buy it. So don't copy this down, but let's say you pick Oreo cookies. Okay, that's a specific item. It's not just cookies, it's Oreo cookies. That's very specific. Now, where can you buy that? Well, you can get it at Target, Walmart, um, you know, um, Foods Co. That's 3 places right there. 3 different grocery stores, 3 different type of stores. Okay. So again, don't use Oreo cookies because I've already named it. Okay. But think of something else. Think of like a drink or clothing, or exercise equipment, something. Okay. And think of 3 stores that sell that item and put those down. Okay. So if you're still writing, continue to write. But if you be sure to pause the video. But if you're done, we're going to move on in 3, 2, 1. Now, when you hear people talk about economic freedoms, they're talking about several things. One is you have the freedom to choose your job. You, whether you're the employer or the employee, you get to choose. And the last one is um, you get to choose how you use your money. Okay, you get to choose the job you want. Nobody's behind your back saying you have to choose this job. The government's not going to tell you because that's a command economy. The more traditional is when whatever your father did, your great grandfather or mother, then you would have that job. Okay. Here in a market economy, you get to choose whether you work at McDonald's, um, Hot Topic, or if you work as a secretary or something else. You get to choose. Okay. Um, Now, employers, they get to choose their employees. Now, typically, they want to hire the best person because, you don't want to hire your friend just because they're your buddy, because the thing is, chances are your buddy is not going to be doing the job. They might, they may not. And if you have to fire them, that's going to ruin that friendship, because they're supposed to be like, well, I thought we were down, I thought we were boys. Yeah, but you're not doing the job. Basically, I'm paying you just to stand around and do nothing. So, yeah, no, you know. And same thing if you're an employee. You say your boss is just always on your back, writing you up, things like that over nothing. Um, you can always quit. You have that option. Just because you have a job doesn't mean you have to stay there for the rest of your life. You can always quit. Okay. And the last one is use of money. You get to choose how you spend your money. Again, I like my little figures, my little bobbleheads. I can buy these as much as I want. You can see them in the back there. All right. Um, that's how I want to spend my money. I have that right. Okay. Economic efficiency, basically using resources wisely. Because remember, we don't have an unlimited amount of trees or gold or platinum, things like that. We don't have an unlimited amount. Okay, yeah, trees can grow back, but they take time. They take a lot of time. Okay. I wish I could find this one cartoon I remember as a kid where this company took a big log, I mean, huge log, and they crushed it down, they shaved it all down to make one toothpick. So imagine something that's like 15 feet long, 8 feet high, and they basically just and shave it down to make one toothpick. All that part of the tree, that's a waste because they could have made other things with all that tree instead of just making one toothpick. They could have made thousands of toothpicks. Okay, but when they do stuff like that, that's called waste. Waste is no good. Companies really don't like do waste because that costs them more money. Um, but when the company does have a lot of waste, that means there's less goods, less services, and the wants and needs are not going to be met because they're taking this delicate resource, something that's limited, and they're wasting it. Okay. Now we come to the last part of this little section called the economic securities. There's four of them. Okay. There's protection from layoffs and illnesses. Layoffs is when you get fired and things like that. You can get unemployment if you put into the system. You can get unemployment, um, or if, like, let's say you get sick, things like that. There's protections under the law where the company can't fire you because you're sick and things like that. Legitimately sick, not just I'm sick, and you're really not. Okay. Insurance plans, things to help you out if you get injured. Take care of some medical bills, things like that, and also illnesses as well. Next one is Social Security. Now, if you have a job, you've already seen in your check stub that the government takes money out before you even get that check. Um, Part of it is Social Security. Okay, 90% of Americans end up getting their Social Security once they reach the age. Okay, um, and the last one is Medicare, and this is for people who are over the age of 65, and older. They get to use Medicare, where they get assistance on prescriptions, seeing the doctor, things like that. Okay. All right. So there's actually two questions here. The first one is which of the four economic securities, that last part we were talking about, which one do you feel is the most important to you right now? Okay. Is it the protection from layoffs and illnesses, the the insurance, for injuries and illnesses? Is it um, the Medicare or Social Security? Okay. Now, again, you can always go back and look at them and then answer it. Okay. But the next question asks you which one do you predict will be essential, be the most important to you 40 years from now? So you'll probably be like 58, 57, somewhere around there. Um, at that age, which one do you think will be important to you and why? Okay. So again, if you forgot what they were, pause the video, go back like a minute and a half or so, and look at those four. Okay, and then choose. But we're going to be moving on to the next thing of notes in four, three, two, one. Now, full employment is more security to provide for whatever, for your family, for yourself, things like that. It's always best to have like a full-time job, 40 hours a week, things like that. Um, but as you guys may know, some people do work two jobs, you know, and we're gonna get to that in a second. But you have to remember this. A job is better than no job because remember, no job means you can't provide for your family. Less goods and services are available to you because you can't pay for it. It's hard to pay your rent if you have no job, you know. Um, yes, I was told this by a student that, yeah, you can get food and things like that. True, if you don't have a job, you can get assistance and stuff like that. But things like um, a place to have a stay, to rent out someplace. Um, a lot of times, those places that give assistance, um, those housings aren't usually that good. Neighborhoods aren't that um, well kept and things like that. Um, so to have a neighborhood, especially for people who have kids and stuff like that, to make sure that they're in an environment where it's safe. Um, Sometimes they need jobs, sometimes they need two, and we're gonna get into that right now because that comes to the part of price stability. Okay, because there's a thing called inflation. Basically, one item, the price goes from, let's say, $5, all of a sudden it goes up to $10. Now, things do go up in price, but usually your pay goes up as well. But in this case, when it comes to inflation, the pay stays the same. The price of things go higher. So think of it like a balloon. The balloon is the item, right? It's a balloon, but you blow into it, that's the price of it. It goes higher, bigger, bigger, bigger. Um, and the thing is, more workers need more money to pay for these things. So that's why a lot of people have two jobs nowadays, or they have some type of side hustle, type of thing, because they need it. That one job, that 40-hour a day, 40 hours a week job, it's sometimes not cutting it, you know. And then there's another thing with these people called they have fixed incomes. A lot of times these people are retired or they have like a settlement, things like that. They, have some type of disability and they're getting a check coming in, but it's usually like the same amount. Um, they're not really can't get another job, you know. So their money's coming in every month, but the same. If that's the case and inflation happens where the price goes higher, they're not able to buy things, because the price goes too high. They can't afford it. You Um, the last part of the economic growth, the most important thing is at the very bottom. A nation's wants and needs depends on growth. Okay, so you have a country full of people saying, "Oh, I want Lamborghinis. Oh, I want the new iPhones." Then your country's doing pretty well. Okay, but if you have a country where people are like, "Oh, I want something good to eat, something fresh, something good to fresh and eat to eat," or I need or I want like fresh water. That should tell you your country's doing really bad when they're not thinking about anything else but surviving. Just having something to eat and clean water, Yeah, that tells you your country's really doing horrible. But if you have people who, they have plenty of food, they're not have to worry about, where they're gonna their next meal's coming from, things like that. Typically, they tend to want luxury items, things they really don't need. Okay, so just remember that. Now, another thing about this market economy is the volunteer market. No one's putting a gun to your head saying you have to buy this, you have to buy that. People are willingly wanting to buy something or sell something. So again, nobody put a gun to my head saying you have to buy this little thing. I wanted it. Okay, so that's one thing. Um, Another key thing is private property. Some people see it as a privilege. Some people see it as a right. That everyone should have a right to have property. Okay. Now, property doesn't necessarily mean just like a house or land. It can also be your skills and talents. Nobody, if let's say you're a painter, you're a really good painter, nobody has a right to come to you and tell you, you have to paint this, for so and so. You have to paint this. You don't have to. That's your property. That's your private property, your skill and ability to paint. So nobody can force you to do something you don't want to do. Okay. So I know that one's a little tricky for people to remember. Like, I don't get how that's private property because again, it's your ability. It's what you're capable of doing, and no one could tell you what to do with it. So here's my question to you. Do you believe that private property should be a right or a privilege? Because again, there's some people who feel, hey, you're in this country, you have a right to have a part of this country. Even if it's a small little piece, you should be able to have something. Um, but then there's some people who are like, no, no, because if you earn it, you save money, you actually buy a house, things like that, you are gonna realize, hey, I'm gonna take care of this because this is mine. I earned this, you know. And again, like I said, there's some people who say, some property was passed down from family member to family member. Those people never earned it, so it's like, oh, wow, why are they leaving cars in their front yard? Their place looks like a mess. And they say those people, hey, they didn't, um, they didn't really earn it. It was just passed down to family members, so they don't give a care. But if they have earned it, then they would realize, hey, I should take care of this place. But again, like I said, some people believe you should have the right to own a piece of this land. It shouldn't be just because you have money. So what do you think? What do you believe? Okay. So there's a writing prompt on the bottom to help you out. Okay. But we're moving on to the exit ticket question in three, two, one. All right. So remember, you're only going to answer one of these three questions. What should happen to companies that waste or destroy valuable or rare materials? So, like the thing I was telling you about the tree, basically cutting it down to make one toothpick. What should happen to those companies for wasting all that resource? And why do you think that would be fair? Okay. The second question is basically if you know someone who's a reckless spender. Because I have like a friend who goes to Target, that dollar section, and she buys all kinds of stuff and puts it in boxes and never touches it. And I tell her, that's a waste of money. She's like, well, it's $1. I'm like, yeah, but you never use it. It's just sitting there in the box, so that's a waste of money. So my question to you is this: what would you tell him or her to stop them from spending their money? How would you convince them? Now, again, I'm talking about a reckless spender. Like as soon as the money hits their hand, it's already gone, you know, and not just like on bills and paying for the rent. That's being responsible. I'm talking like just buying something random and like putting it in the closet, never looking at it again, things like that, or spending it and it's like, well, you always said you wanted to save money, but you're just spending it, on things that you don't really need. Okay. And the last one is name something you've noticed where the price has gone up, but it really hasn't gone down. Okay, and why do you think this item hasn't gone down in price? Because I've been telling students, think about 10 years back. So when you were like 8, 7, 6, what's something you noticed where the price has gone up, but it really hasn't gotten down? Okay. So that's the end of this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Um, Remember, next week it's the start of a new grading period. It's only lasts 2 weeks. So um, try to be in class, okay? Um, but once you're finished, that's it. All right. So you guys have a good day. You take care. You be safe.